Hello everyone, this is part 11 of What If Naruto Was Betrayed and Planned It All, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Naruto was standing in his office, thinking about his newest recruits. Han had accepted the more peaceful area of his offer and chosen to live in a small cabin near the village. Yugito, on the other hand, had fully accepted his offer to join Izu's shinobi corps. Hinata and Shino had managed to settle their clans into their new homes. Shortly after, Naruto had made short work of getting rid of the caged bird seals on the Hyuga branch members. The main house members had tried to object, but Hinata had quickly crushed any thoughts of questioning the decision. Naruto and her both knew that they would try to cause trouble later on down the road, so they took any who were against the decision to remove the seals, against Hinata, against being in Izu, had already started thinking about causing trouble, or could not be dissuaded from any of these thoughts, and put them in one room. There were only a little more than 20 that fit such a categorization. Naruto had told them that what he was going to do was going to protect their clan. He had then branded the 23 members with an altered version of the caged bird seal. The new seal would destroy their eyes should they die, or someone try to forcefully remove the eye. However, it was also set so that they could not be tortured or coerced into giving up the eye freely. It had to truly be of their own free will. The seal was also on the eyes themselves. This allowed anyone they given to have the same safeguards. Hinata had then banished them. Naruto had made quick work of taking them out of Izu and leaving them on the edge land of Iron. The location was chosen due to its neutrality. With the matter settled, things had quickly calmed down. However, not everything had gone well. Obito had reported that when he went back for Madara's body, it had been missing. He believed it to be the work of Black Zetsu. Naruto had also found that Kabuto's body was never found, and some of Orochimaru's data on Edo Tensei had been taken. He had the feeling that this would cause plenty of problems later. Naruto turned when Chronicle opened the door and walked in. He didn't look happy. He had been away, working with his own organization, and had only just gotten back. He had been with Naruto so far, but was starting to question his actions recently. This also counted for when he had heard of Sakura Haruno. He went and sat down. Naruto, can I ask you why a report I read describes the injuries sustained by Sakura Haruno from you torturing her? Chronicle asked. If you're going to ask me why I tortured her without trying to acquire information or anything, then I suggest you save your breath, Chronicle. I have no time for such sentiments of humanity right now. And besides, even if I explained my reasons, you would never understand them. Not to mention that it did have a purpose. However, I know that you will still be against torturing her to the degree I did. Naruto responded. Chronicle knew he was right. He could understand using it to get important information, but the fact that it seemed to have no purpose had caused him to question the action. What are you talking about? That is irrelevant. I don't think. I suggest we deal with more pressing matters, Chronicle, such as the upcoming Cage Summit or the group of immortals that we now have to deal with. Naruto interrupted him. Chronicle pursed his lips in frustration. He calmed down, realizing that now was not the time to try and figure out Naruto's reasoning behind torturing the girl. He also realized that something else must be going on if he was healing her in a Bacta tank. Let's start with the immortals then, Chronicle said. I figured you would go with that first, Naruto said, pulling out 3 files. The 2 we encountered were called Ryunosuke and Bluebeard. The first one wasn't much. He seemed too bored to put forth a whole lot of effort. The only thing I found scary about him was my inability to kill him. However, if he's part of their inner circle of higher-ups, he must be stronger than he lets on. The next one was worse. Bluebeard split off to fight Kakazu, and I expected Kakazu to be able to cripple him at the very least. He did a good job of it, but Bluebeard had destroyed one of his hearts and had even him suggesting that he retreat while we could. Not to mention, unlike the first one, or hidden, this one used jutsu. Kakazu said that he used Kaiten and Fuyuten jutsu. Chronicle was listening while looking through the 3rd file. Then there's this Okiai. His abilities are unknown, as is just about everything about him, and the only reason we have these photos is because they were among Hidden's possessions. In Okiai's file, there were 2 photos. The first was a close-up of the man's face that was covered by a metal mask with 2 dark lines going up his face, disappearing where the eye holes started, reappearing on the other side of the eyes, and going over the top of his skull. The other picture was of a man in a black suit with a white undershirt. He had black hair that came just short of touching his shoulders, and black eyes. The fact that most of his abilities are unknown makes him even more dangerous. Chronicle said, "I'll have my own people start keeping an eye out for them. The worst part is that there's no way to tell if they're part of this group unless they declare that they are," he sighed. "Other than that, there's nothing we can do." "What about the issue of the Cage Summit?" Naruto sighed. "Remember how Danzo Shimura took over Konoha?" he asked, seeing Chronicle's slight nod. "I can't explain my biggest reason to you, you wouldn't understand, but I can tell you that torturing Sakura did have a purpose. The whole reason Danzo got any of that information about how badly Sakura was wounded, much about her death at all, or about the Hyuga clans and Aberrane Kalen's leaving was because I leaked it to him. Tsunade was trying to keep it all secret the entire time. He didn't know it was me, but I was able to set things in motion that helped me put these people where I want them. Before, Danzo was always surrounded by his route. Now, he will be leaving for the Cage Summit soon. He's going to have 2 guards with him at that time. He might have a few more guards accompany him for a while, but not enough to stop whoever we decide to take to go after him. Once he's dead, Root will collapse with him. I have other reasons for wanting him dead, but his death will make several things simpler. So, all of this was to kill Danzo. Not entirely, but for the most part. Like I said, there are several other reasons for wanting him dead, but those are irrelevant for now. Oh. And there is one other piece of business. Obito reported something to me. He told me that Madara Uchiha's body has been taken. It was Zetsu from what he was able to figure out. Obito was able to move the statue into a sealed area under a zoo, but Madara was gone before he could move him. So make sure to have your network keep an eye out for any all-powerful Uchiha as well." Chronicle nodded. "So who are you thinking about taking with you? I can give you a list and details about it later. For now though, I have business to take care of in Oto and Snow before the summit. I will talk to you later, Chronicle. Wait, before you go, there's a favor I would like to ask of you." "What is it?" "From now on, only call me Chronicle while on a mission. From now on, call me Akira Uzumaki." After Chronicle left, Naruto stood up and looked out the window to his office and looked at the moon. "I hope this is all over soon." In Naruto's mindscape, the figure sat in a chair down several passageways. He sat there with his feet propped up on a desk while he looked at a screen with his red irises and golden sclera. The screen showed him what Naruto was saying, hearing, and seeing. He chuckled to himself. "Is that so?" he thought. He looked at the moon and reached out his hand towards the image before clenching his fist around it. "I wish I may, I wish I might, have this wish I wish tonight. I want that star, and I want it now. I want it all and I don't care how. Too bad I have to wait. Careful what you wish, Naruto. Careful what you say. You may regret it," he chuckled again. "Careful what you wish, Naruto," he said before his voice turned into a snarl, "or you just might get it." Break. Akira was standing in the middle of a massive room that was constructed of metal and ceiling arrays. It had been constructed for him to practice trying to control his latent abilities that stemmed from the Shizen clan. He had often lost control and had to wait until he had passed out to regain control. He sat there and focused before drawing on the power. Before, it had never existed. But now, the power was always there, just waiting to be called upon. It waited to run rampant. He drew upon the power, only trying to draw out a small amount of the strange chakra. The moment he made contact with it, the chakra rushed over him in a torrent as it tried to consume him. He pushed back, trying to put it back. But as he was on the cusp of losing control and maintaining a semblance of humanity, he held it there a moment before pushing back and ripping some of the chakra away and putting the rest where it came from. He felt it. He could feel what little power he had been able to grasp. He opened his eyes and saw the fingers on his left hand covered in small platelets of armor and a small, black, wispy aura. He gave a small smile. "Now I'm getting somewhere," he said to himself. He quickly gripped his arm in pain as the armor tried creeping up his arm. Black metal spikes grew out of his forearms as he tried to lock the power back away. After a moment, the armor and aura faded away. He collapsed a moment later. Not good enough. I need more practice, he said. Break. You sure like spending time in here. Of course I do, Naruto said. Why? Because I might die. They might die. Then where will this world be? Naruto said, looking at the tanks. They're coming along nicely. Why ask? It's not like you care. All you want is to be free. True, but the more successful you are, the further you get. And the further you get, the better things could be for me. Just go away. You and I both know why that's impossible. Then go back down your corridor and at least give me some semblance of being alone. All I want is to be rid of you. So let me get this straight. You want me to leave you alone with the pathetic clones you've been messing with the genetic code of, even though I would actually still be here. Shut up. What makes you so good compared to those others? Shut up. What about this makes you any different, Orochimaru? I said shut up. This isn't about my own power. This is about making sure that I have something to leave behind. Alright, fine. Break. Sasuke stirred for a moment and opened his eyes to find he couldn't see. He put his hands to his face to find that there were bandages around where his eyes were. He was about to try and take them off when he heard Itachi's voice. So you're finally awake. Everything came back to him at that moment. He tried to sit up, but he was stopped by a searing pain in his eyes. I would suggest another hour or so of rest, Itachi said. Why are my eyes covered? Sasuke asked. My eyes are bandaged over as well. What? He asked, realization dawning on him. You and I both know what happens when the Mangekyo Sharingan is used past its limit. I'm sure you felt its strain when you fought Naruto. It didn't do much to you yet, but they have been taking their toll on me for years now. It is not pleasant for one's health to slowly fade away in such a way. I can only imagine how Madara Uchiha felt when he took his eyes from his brother's body. Do you know how he got his eternal eyes? No. Most information about the Mangekyo is unknown. It was by luck that I even know about the eternal form. His brother and he had gained the eyes through years of watching their friends and family slaughtered in the war. I'm surprised that so few of the Uchiha gained the eyes during that era, considering how many of their friends and family were killed. After a fight with Tobirama, Izuna, Madara's brother, died due to a mortal wound he gained during his fight. His dying wish was for Madara to take his eyes and protect the clan. There was a pause. So, does this mean that we have the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan? Yes. While you were unconscious, Naruto had his medics keep your new eyes, and mine, in a state of limbo to avoid damaging them while they heal. They were able to channel chakra into our eyes and examine them. Both of our eyes have evolved, like those of Madara Uchiha. Why? Why would Naruto do this? You assume I didn't have part in this. There was a pause. Sasuke, do you know why Naruto wanted to bring you here? Itachi asked. He did it because he knew that, anywhere else, you two would be enemies. He wanted this to be a place where you two could be friends again, a middle ground between you two as a bridge. He didn't want things to turn out like this. He tries not to show it, but he's struggling with all of this, wanting nothing more than for all of it to be over. You aren't making it easy, Sasuke. He's had to rewrite plans so that he doesn't lose his friends, and so that they don't die either. But it has been hard on him. Now rest, Sasuke, and think on what I've said. We have things to discuss later on. Sasuke tried to deny it, but the pain and tiredness he felt consumed him as he returned to his slumber. Break. Naruto was sitting down at a small table with Kyuki. They had been using the past half hour catching up over a small lunch, as well as discussing some of the advancements and such that Snow had made, or even some of the new weapons they had created. Well, it has been great talking with you, but I have other things to attend to. Naruto said. Of course. Kyuki said. Remember to come visit your allies every now and then. Yes, I will keep that in mind. However, before I go, I had a question for you. What would that be? Naruto's face and tone became serious. Is that other weapon complete yet? The one that only a trusted few know of? Kyuki had a small smile. It's finally ready. It took a very long time, but it's ready. But remember, this is on a completely different scale than even the Bahamut Fortress or the prototype mobile defense mechs. Don't expect to be able to fire it on command. It will take time to ready and aim. Thank you. You never did tell me why you wanted it. Naruto chuckled darkly. Because, Kyuki, I need a fallback plan. If I die, I need to make sure that it's not alone. If I fall, you're going to take everyone down with you. Yes, Naruto said, sounding solemn. Then I hope you never have any reason to use it. I understand, he said before disappearing. When he reappeared, he appeared in the middle of one of Orochimaru's facilities at Otogakure. Once Orochimaru had died, they had set up the real Otogakure and started helping it establish itself. Naruto had also taken the summoning contract for the snakes and given it to Anko. Naruto was instantly greeted by Sakin and Akon. They gave him a report about how the Azu 4 had been able to keep peace within the village now that its previous leader was dead. They had also led him to a few chambers where they had some important things to show him. First they took him to a room that had a man floating in a tank. It was a man recognized as Sugetsu. Wake him up, Naruto said. I have a group of swordsmen to rebuild. Sugetsu was quickly woken up and removed from the tank. He looked up to Naruto, who pulled out a scroll and unsealed a blade the man quickly recognized. Naruto tossed the blade and Sugetsu easily caught. I have other things to do for now. Get up and moving and I'll explain everything later. But for now, all you have to know is that Orochimaru is dead. Naruto said before leaving Sugetsu to comprehend what he had been told. Sakin and Akon then led him to a room with one person in it. They were sitting quietly in the corner. Naruto walked in and sat in front of him. He had been found in one of the other bases and brought here. Hello Jugo, Naruto said. The young man looked up at him. He didn't respond. Naruto sighed. He stood up and stepped a few feet away before forming a few hand seals and placing his hands together. Kuchiyos, Edo Tensei. A single coffin rose from the ground beside him before falling open. It was Kimimaro. Jugo was shocked to see his old friend. The original seals of the jutsu only allowed the body to appear alive if they were being controlled. He said as the cracks on Kimimaro's body started closing. Yet, if they were given free rein they would appear in a state of decay. I have solved that problem. Kimimaro stepped out of his coffin and looked around him. He saw Jugo and then Naruto. It only took a few moments to recognize him. He went to attack Naruto but stopped just short of doing anything. I might be giving you free rein, but that doesn't mean I won't stop you from attacking me. Perhaps you should settle down and allow me to explain. The world has changed. Orochimaru is dead, and I'm here to give you a new purpose. I am here to give you the purpose of choosing. Break. After Naruto had been able to explain everything that had happened to the two, he had left them to think about his offer. He had offered them to stay as shinobi or civilians if they pleased. Whatever they chose, they also had the choice of staying in Oto or Azu. Naruto had also told Jugo about knowing more about his clan. He had told him some about the clans, his history and how he knew someone connected to it. He had then left him to think on his words. He had then had Sakin and Akon show him the other important thing they had found. Naruto walked into a large room with a glass tank in it. It was filled with a large liquid and had a parson floating in it. It seemed like the Bacta tanks, though the fluid seemed to be keeping the man in a stasis like Sugetsu was, rather than healing him. What is this? Naruto asked. We found it in Orochimaru's records as part of a project called Deadman. Sakin said. Does anyone know if he's dangerous? What do those records say? We couldn't find much on him, some of the details were destroyed. But, if you're asking if he's actively hostile, he's one of Orochimaru's test subjects. It's hard to say, Akon said. From what we could tell, Orochimaru wiped his mind and was trying to imprint him with memories and such so that he wouldn't be mindless, but would be of his own way of thinking. He was able to give him knowledge and info, but not necessarily ways of thinking. He might know of Orochimaru, but, with him dead, he might not share the same views that Orochimaru was trying to give him. Sakin said. Naruto considered for a moment. Let's wake him up. I'm curious. Sir, that might not be a good idea. Sakin said. We said that he might not be dangerous, that doesn't mean he's not. Well, if he does attack, don't react. I'll handle him if necessary. They could tell he was being serious. They both walked over to the tank and activated a small mechanism before the tank started draining the fluid. When the fluid was gone, the front to the tank split and opened. The man fell forward, landing on his hands and knees as he coughed up remnants of the fluid. When he had finally cleared it away, he stood and looked at Naruto. A moment later he rushed forward and pinned Naruto to the wall by his neck. "Before you die, I need a name," the man said. Naruto Uzumaki, a Zukijin power holder over a great deal of the elemental nations. "And I don't often take threats lightly. Not your name. I need mine. I know things, but Orochimaru couldn't create any kind of connection. His words are hollow. Vessel, perfection, weapon, crow. Crow was among the last. It was some sort of designation. It might work. You can call me Crow. If you are worthy of your command over the nations, prove your strength and try to destroy me. You want me to try and kill you. I want nothing. I was created to fight. No one ever asked what I want. Orochimaru's words have failed. He has failed. I feel nothing for him or his enemies, and without my own reasons, one fight is as good as any other. Might as well start with you. Is it really so easy to forget the purpose you were given?" Orochimaru was just a voice. And besides, if his words were true, he created something stronger than he was. So he is not worthy of using me as a vessel. If his hatreds could not compel me, then they have failed as well. I feel nothing. There is no purpose. Then follow my command. I'll give you purpose. I can give you strong enemies to face. That could be acceptable. But I doubt it would be that simple. What if I refuse? Were you to attack me, yes, I would kill you. However, I find that people only have value when acting according to their own will. I have no interest in anyone who can't think on their own. Crow stood there thinking for a moment. If you wish, I will have you set up with supplies to set out on your own. Naruto said. On my own? Crow asked. Yes, you said that Orochimaru failed. So, why should his imprint of fighting instinct last? Do what many have done before you. Set out of their own to seek their own purpose. Live your own life to seek out what you want. That seems acceptable, Crow said, pausing to think. Finding my own purpose, he mumbled to himself as he put Naruto down. I think I'll take you upon that. Break. Tsunade was sitting beside Jiraiya's hospital bed, waiting for him to wake up. He had been sleeping the past few days, ever since Hinata had delivered him to her. Ever since Danzo's takeover, she had had to do very little. Danzo was trying to keep an eye on her while he made sure that his control was going unchallenged. While she had had little to do, she had been keeping an eye on Jiraiya, as well as using medical ninjutsu to speed up his recovery. At first he had been recovering at a decent pace. However, the day before had seen him nearing death for several hours. He had recovered shortly afterwards. Tsunade thought that he was nearly going to become conscious before he had once again gotten worse. When he had gotten worse the second time, he had been writhing in pain and shouting. They had been forced to put him in a temporary coma until he had stabilized again. When he had finally stabilized, they had taken him off of the drugs that kept him in stasis. His vital signs had showed him in a near-conscious state a few minutes ago, and Tsunade had been alerted. Tsunade had been monitoring him since she had been alerted. Tsunade had also taken a few minutes from her schedule, or lack thereof, to talk to Katsuyu about how Naruto was able to use a second sage mode. Katsuyu said that he had to have studied under two clans in their respective homes to be able to do so. Katsuyu had also said that Naruto had to have found the dragon contract of the Uzumaki and signed it from the description given for Naruto's sage mode. She was thinking about the things that had happened recently. She had wondered how Danzo had gotten the information he had used to take over. Then there was Jiraiya. Why had they given him back? Then Hinata's words came to her. You won't understand until later, but this has always been about your hope. This is what this has always been about. Why? They wanted this, but why? She thought to herself. She noticed Jiraiya stir and stood up to go check on him. She had a small smile as she saw his eyes open. Tsunade. Jiraiya groaned out. How long have I been out? A few days. How are you feeling? She asked him. Like my insides are trying to kill me, but none the worse for wear. He said, forcing a small smile. Jiraiya's smile disappeared as he went into a coughing fit. Blood flew out of his mouth as he did. Tsunade was instantly over him, examining him. Well, I've been wanting you over me all these years. Never expected it to be in these circumstances. Jiraiya joked at how close her body was. Tsunade stepped back and smiled at him. She would normally be angry at such a comment, but could tell what he was doing. He was making light of a situation that could be dire. Back when Naruto had me, he put some drugs in me. Said that I was going to be in a lot of pain. He told me that it was going to be a lot worse before it got better. He cut me open, kept me awake for most of it. I don't know what he did, but he said that everything would be revealed in time. He said that we needed to prepare ourselves. He said that he wanted this to be fun, like this was some sort of game. Jiraiya said. There was a pause. We should open me up again. We need to find out what he did. Jiraiya said. Are you sure? I can see your point, but, she trailed off. Yeah. For all we know, he could have removed some of my organs. We need to know what he did. We might as well do it now. Tsunade nodded. 10 minutes later, they were ready to perform surgery on Jiraiya. The man had decided to stay awake in case there were any seals inside of his body that he would need to examine. Tsunade had told him that it would be painful, but he had ignored her. Tsunade went to use a scalpel to start off. She and everyone else in the room were shocked when the blade made contact with Jiraiya's skin before stopping completely. Tsunade tried again, only to see the blade bend. In disbelief, Jiraiya sat up, took the blade from her hand, and slammed it into his chest. The moment the blade hit the skin, it shattered like glass. Before any of them could react, layers of sealing arrays appeared over his skin. After a moment, very little of his actual skin could be seen. That's impossible, Jiraiya said. When an odd-numbered seal and an even-numbered seal connect or are placed over one another, they cancel each other out. But these are woven together in a way I can't imagine. How in the world did Naruto do this? The seals all faded within a moment. One was left on his chest. The seal disappeared as a small piece of paper and a manila folder materialized in its place. Tsunade picked it up and read it aloud. Hello Lady Tsunade. The information in the folder is very important. I request that it not be opened before noon in 4 days. Now, onto the important things. The fact that you're reading this means you've tried to figure out what I did to Jiraiya when I cut him open and did some poking around. I think you can figure out for yourself what those sealing arrays do. Here is my gift to you, Lady Hokage. As long as you and Jiraiya stay out of my way, Jiraiya can't be harmed. I'm the only one who can hurt him now, me and a select few others that are with me. Now, I want to make something very clear. I can be the hero of your village, or I can be the monster you have always believed me to be. Konoha will be getting a few gifts here soon, but be careful. These gifts can be double-edged swords. Stand in my way and the gifts become curses. Remain out of sight and out of mind, and the gifts will only get better. But these don't come without a price, nothing ever does. Soon you will be required to make a choice. I will offer you this choice and allow you to choose your suffering. So, let me ask you this. Whose lives do you cherish the most? I can take those lives from you, and, just as easily, I could return them. Now think on your sins while I think on my own. Let's see who reaches the end of the line first. Everyone in the room was silent. Well, Lady Hokage, we have some work to do. Jiraiya said. I think I need to fill you in on some of the things that have happened. Tsunade said. Break. Sasuke was being led by Itachi towards Naruto's office. They walked in silence as Sasuke thought about the things that had happened. Now that he thought things through, he realized Naruto knocked him out to switch his and Itachi's eyes because he would most likely have refused if asked outright. He thought about how different his and Itachi's Sharingan had turned out. There was his own M's, which was only changed by the straightened, reversed version of Itachi's Mangekyo Sharingan design into the center of his own. Itachi's had come to incorporate his into the design. Itachi's M's had become much different. When they finally reached Naruto's office, Itachi gave a small nod before leaving. Sasuke went to open the door, but stopped when he heard laughter on the other side. Sasuke entered the room and found that Naruto's desk was gone, a table and chairs replacing it. At the table sat Naruto, Hinata, and Shino. The three looked up and Naruto gestured to an open seat. Sasuke, glad you could join us. Have a seat, Naruto said, trying to stop his laughter from before. Sasuke walked in and sat down. Come on Sasuke, smile. Naruto said. Let's talk. That is what friends do after all. They sat there for nearly an hour. At first, Sasuke had to force a smile, being apprehensive and awkward about being there with them, being so calm and talking like they had no care in the world. But as time went on, they got into their conversations. They laughed, they talked, they joked, and they even talked about the personal plans for the next few days. Sasuke was feeling like he belonged somewhere for the first time in a long time. Naruto, Shino said, getting his attention. I don't believe Sasuke has had a tour of the island yet. Naruto's smile grew. You're absolutely right Shino, he said, standing up. He had decided to forego his cage cloak for the day. Come on Sasuke, I have something to show you. I would like to do something I just realized I have yet to do. I think it's time I formally welcome you to my home. After a while of walking through the village, Naruto took Sasuke to one of the hangars that kept the airships. Naruto had had one of the Shiva-class ships up into the air. Sasuke was amazed to see the airship itself, but his mind went black for a moment at what he saw waiting for them in the sky. Bahamut, Lord of the Sky. Naruto said. Sometimes, it's my home away from home. When I need to get away and think, I come here. I stand at the highest point and have those at the controls take it as high as it can go. I like to sit there and think about being at the highest possible point in this world and being mere inches away from the stars above. It's why I stayed hidden for so long. I needed time to complete these things. The Sky Fortress Bahamut, a massive airship. Designed by Snow to be a zoo's ultimate airship. The superstructure is so large that normal power supplies are insufficient to fuel it. It requires billions of seals that have to be repaired every day just to keep it from collapsing in on itself. Naruto pointed out the massive rings made of plates that floated around the structure. Those rings are projections of millions of sealing arrays that support the weight and allow it to fly. He said. This is amazing. Sasuke said. Sasuke, I want to tell you my motto, and the motto I have shared with Azu. Never compromise, even in the face of Armageddon. Would you like to know what it means? It actually applies to two things. The first means to never compromise on who you are, on your values, or on what you believe. The other means to never give up. But at the same time, it doesn't mean to never surrender. For the first meaning, you have the fact that any new information or experiences could change your goals, and even what you believe. But you should never let other people manipulate them, or those experiences change who you are. But that doesn't mean not to change because others provide information. In the end, it's up to you to decide what you let change you. Then the second part. You should never give up, but that doesn't mean to never surrender, adapt, or retreat when you need to. Does this mean to run simply because the odds are against you? No. It just means not to run because you're afraid or wanting to run. Always run and surrender if it protects those you care for. But don't let emotion cloud your judgment. If surrendering saves some lives, but could lead to even more down the line, then sacrifices must be made. No matter how much pain it brings you, there sometimes is no right answer. In the end, the whole point of the phrase is stay true to the things that are important. But if you look deeper, it's not saying to never adapt, it's saying that you should adapt as you know you should. You see, that's why I told you about the things Itachi told me, back when we were in the Forest of Death. It allowed you to finally stop craving your brother's death as much as you wanted answers from him. It's also why I would still have helped you kill your brother if you had let me, or if you had still wanted to kill him at all. Because I knew that it was what you both believed deep down should be done. I gave you what you needed to in order to change on your own. Did I influence you? Sure, but I only gave you a nudge. I didn't manipulate you. I let you make your own decisions based on the information I provided. And it even allowed you to discard your hunger for revenge to such a degree that you still stand by Konoha, even after learning their part in your clan's deaths. I gave you the tool necessary to change who you were into who you wanted to be. That is why. Naruto finally finished. Why what? Sasuke asked. Naruto smiled. I'll tell you later. A moment later, they had docked on the Sky Fortress. They were greeted before they moved to an elevator. As they quickly ascended, the walls became glass, allowing them to see the facilities they passed on the way up. This place isn't a fortress in the conventional sense. Naruto said. It does operate as a fortress, but it's more of a base of operations and a supply center. Usually, it remains over or around a zoo, but I have given all of our shinobi seals that allow them to call for assistance should the situation be dire. The seals have several layers for different levels of needed assistance. It is because of this that the fortress has, in fact, left a zoo multiple times before. Some of those times were to send small airships with reinforcements or needed supplies. Others were for sending full squads and some of the smaller ships for aid in certain missions. The main one was when we were going after Orochimaru and subduing Oto. One of our teams had more trouble than anticipated because we were unaware that that particular base was a main storage and housing facility for Orochimaru's experiments that dealt with the curse mark. Everyone there was already lost to the madness inflicted on them. So, when the fortress itself got there, which rarely happens as it just gets closer to send help rather than going to aid directly, and we discovered that all of our men were dead, we gathered our dead and wiped the base out of existence. It was a simple matter of firing the main gun at the bottom of the Bahamut. Before Sasuke could respond, the elevator came to a stop. The walls had covered their view again, so Sasuke was unprepared for the blast of cold air that hit him. He opened his eyes to see the top of the fortress. Naruto seemed unfazed as he stepped out and took a deep breath. Sasuke followed him as he walked over to the ledge. Sasuke looked down and was able to see the island down below. Naruto pointed to small dots in the water around the island. There are 10 of those at equal intervals around the island, he semi-shouted over the wind. They are mostly underwater facilities were meant to replace the barrier in protecting the village. Look close, I think you can see what they do. With it now pointed out, Sasuke was able to just barely see long, sleek metal cannons stretching outward from the island. There were large, red tubes connecting the cannons to their bases. They're large cannons, Sasuke said. Yes, they have a secret, but that is correct. Sasuke looked at them all and noticed that there were actually 11. He also realized that the 11th was much larger, nearly the size of the hidden village, and much further away from the island, and had no cannon. What about that one? Sasuke asked. A secret. There are several layers of defense around it, and I am one of the 10 who knows more about it than that it exists. I personally hope that it is never used. Naruto said before taking another breath and looking up. Let's forget that for now. Take a look, Sasuke. You are at the highest existing point. How does it feel? Sasuke took a moment to relax and take in where he was. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath. The air was cold, yet soothing. The sound of the wind was allowing him to easily focus on a sound, rather than let his mind wander to unwanted thoughts. In one word, it was peaceful. Sasuke didn't know how, but he opened his eyes to find that it was already half an hour later. It does that to you, Naruto said. Being up here and letting yourself embrace the calm. Time just sort of slips away. When you let that happen, you don't even feel the cold. You just feel free, he said, leaning against the elevator door. Sasuke nodded. Well, let's get back to the ground. We're going to meet Shino, Hinata, and Anko at a restaurant in half an hour. Naruto said. Break. Naruto and the others sat at the large table. Naruto had told Sasuke that they were meeting several people at the restaurant, but was not expecting the number of people there. Their entire restaurant had been reserved, and all the tables had been rearranged to form a single large table. Naruto had his 3 friends on one side, Hinata sitting closest to him, and Akira, Angela, and Mikasa on his other side. Sasuke was on the other side of Anko with the Azu 4 across from him. Meizu and Gozu were across the table from Akira and Angela. Zabuza was sitting next to those two with Haku across from him. Kamaji was there as well. At the table also sat a Junin that Naruto had befriended. Gaara was also there with his siblings and Matsuri. The Junin that was there was one of Naruto's generals, Date Masamune. He had semi-long brown hair, and a black eye patch over his right eye while the left was a dark gray. He usually wore an uncommon and original blue suit, which had 6 sheaths meant for katanas embedded in the fabric near his thighs, over his black armor and a classic helmet with a golden crescent moon at its top. However, he was now in a set of sand-colored pants and shirt. His blades and ferocity on the battlefield had gained him the title, the One-Eyed Dragon. Others at the table included the ex-Akatsuki including Obito. When Naruto and Sasuke were on their way down from the Bahamut fortress, Sasuke had been shocked to some of the many things he had been filled in on about the Akatsuki, Madara, and the Kyuubi attack all those years ago. They had all been there for half an hour when everyone fell silent and looked at Sasori. He had a slight smirk as he got control back. Shino had told a joke and the man had released a small chuckle. It had shocked them all that the man who usually showed no emotion at all would laugh. Naruto started laughing before the whole table burst out to join him. A few moments later, Naruto composed himself before leaning over to Akira as the rest of the table went back to conversing. Sorry to talk business right now, Naruto whispered, but you said you had a report. Yes, the Celestial Knights lost a ton of members to get it, but we have some more information on the Immortals. I'll give you the reports later. However, they're going to be leaving soon. What do you mean? The leaders of the Celestial Knights know a war is coming, and, while they want to stay, they know that it can't be prevented and that it isn't their fight. They're returning to where they came from. When the war is over and we stabilize everything over here, they are prepared to set up communication and trade routes. All right, Naruto said. Tell me, have you picked who you're going to be sending to Taki? Yeah, Kakazu will be going with Fu and a team of Anbu. Though, they are both under orders to simply stabilize the area and bring the land of waterfalls under control with as little destruction and death as possible. They have been ordered that they are to take no unnecessary action. Akira nodded. Well, let's get back to this later and relax for now. Agreed. Break. During the couple of days after Naruto showed him the Bahamut Fortress, Sasuke had seen Izu and spent time with Naruto, Hinata, Shino, and Itachi. Itachi had taken the time to explain the things that had happened over the years, such as why he was with the Akatsuki. Itachi had been slightly surprised, yet at the same time not, that Sasuke had decided not to leave Konoha. His reasoning had been that Konoha was still his home, and that he would not abandon the home he had sworn to protect. And then, Sasuke had decided that it was finally time for him to return to Konoha. However, Naruto had told him that they were going somewhere else first. Naruto had told him that they were going to the Cage Summit in a few hours. He would return to Konoha with Tsunade when the summit was over. Sasuke had tried to remind Naruto that Danzo had taken over Konoha, but Naruto had told him that it didn't matter. He and Naruto were standing in the room that Sasuke had been staying in while Sasuke finished packing. Sasuke had decided to take Naruto's word on Sakura. Naruto had told Sasuke that Sakura would soon be sent back to Konoha, but some of the injuries she was still recovering from could only be handled by his own medical teams and the Bacta tanks. Naruto was about to leave him for the time being before Sasuke decided to voice a question. Naruto, why was it that as soon as you came out of hiding, you came out ready for war? A better question, why did you come out trying to start a war? Sasuke asked. Naruto sighed. You still don't get it, do you? This war has been going on far longer than you think. And that is why I will never compromise on the war one must wage. He said before turning to leave. What does that mean? Sasuke asked. What do you mean, Naruto? Naruto stopped. Sasuke, do you still believe I'm wrong? Sasuke was shocked. All he could do was nod. Naruto sighed. He turned around and drew his sword. He quickly tossed it up in the air. When it came down, he caught it by the blade, as if he were grabbing the handle. Blood seeped out of his hand as he held the hilt out to Sasuke. If I am wrong, then tell me how you would bring peace to this world and an end to the corruption that infests it. Sasuke stood there, unable to respond. You have told me that you will not let me destroy Konoha, so you need to show me why I am wrong. Do you have a goal that gives you the conviction to see it through to the end? Does it give you the conviction needed to strike me down right here and now? I ask that, if you have a worthy goal that can bring a true peace and end corruption, you strike me down. Take control of Izu, as my instructions are to let you take over as Izukage should you present me with a worthy goal, and see it through to the end. I ask that you show me that you have a reason for declaring me wrong. A moment passed as neither of them moved. Naruto could see that Sasuke wasn't going to do anything. Naruto flipped his sword over and gripped the hilt before putting it back in its sheath. Then when you and I see each other on the battlefield, I hope that you will have a better goal than simply protecting Konoha. Are you telling me that you would abandon Izu and kill me if it brought peace to this world? Would you let your friends die and your village burn? Sasuke asked before Naruto could turn to leave again. Naruto let a small smile form. It was full of sadness. I hope it never comes to that, because I don't know the answer to that question. Then at least give them a chance. I know that most of them don't deserve it, but give them a chance. There was a pause. No, but I will give them a choice. That is the best I can do. Now I have some final things to take care of before we leave. Meet me at the main gate in 2 hours, Naruto said before disappearing in the Hiraishin. Break. I'm not arguing, but why lie to him? Hinata asked. They were standing there as Sasakura was brought out of her back-to-tank. If I had told him that I was going to make her help me by using Sasori's technique, he would have gone ballistic. I had to tell him that I needed longer than I did for her to finish healing so that he would leave her without question. Naruto said. When she was finally removed from the tank and dried, Naruto motioned for Sasori to proceed. He watched as the young-looking man inserted a needle into the back of Sakura's neck. It disappeared a moment later as it embedded itself into her brain. It only took a second before Sakura inhaled sharply and sat up. She leaned over the side of the cot she was on and vomited before a medic came over and offered her a cloth and a glass of water. When she cleaned her face and drank the water, Sasakura looked up. How long have I been in the tank? Just short of a week, the medic responded. All right. Is the Lord Azukage available? I have a report to file. I've already got the report I need from your team, Naruto said as he walked in. We're going to monitor you for another hour to make sure you're fine and then we're going to send you home. Then I want you to get ready for work soon. The day after tomorrow I'll give you a file on the mission you're on next. When you leave just ask and you can get a report on the injuries you sustained during your last mission. Could I ask what I should be preparing for tomorrow before my next mission? And how is my team? Your team was already sent on a simple, low B rank while you were recovering. They should be back in a week. You're going to be working in our hospital facilities to work on a cure for Itachi. Are you sure, sir? You're one of our best medics. We're going to have you working with our other best medics. I'm going to have you working around the clock except for absolutely needed sleep and food. We're on a time limit here. The report you'll be getting after tomorrow will be on any progress made so far. I think this goes without saying, but I expect results before Itachi dies. Yes, sir. Break. Naruto was standing on the massive stone bridge, waiting for Danzo to arrive. The new Hokage had left Konoha the day before, and Naruto's scouts had reported that the Warhawk was close. Next to Naruto was Itachi, Kisame, Hinata, and Shino. Naruto had left clones of them with Sasuke as they went ahead to handle the old man. Naruto saw several figures, though most were hidden, emerge from the tree line and approach the bridge. They stopped a few feet onto the structure. Naruto could tell that Danzo had known of his presence long before getting to the bridge. Hello Danzo. Been a while, hasn't it? Naruto joked. Then he became serious. Allow me to kill you quickly. I want to get this over with. You should have taken up my offer before. I won't allow you to leave this place. Danzo replied. Oh, you mean that offer from when I was imprisoned? Naruto said, chuckling. Look at who's with me. Danzo eyed those with Naruto. He gave a signal and was instantly surrounded with a few dozen root shinobi, including Fu and Torun. You and I both know you're going to need more than that. You've seen the things I can do. And let's not forget about those with me. Think, old man. You're going to need more than that to stop me. Naruto said. Danzo sat there for a moment before reaching out his arm from its covering of his robe and taking off the large braces that covered it. He quickly undid the bandages on his arm to reveal the Sharingan in his arm. So what was left of Orochimaru's records was true. An arm of 10 Sharingan. No doubt, you also have Shisui's eye under the bandages on your head. Dazu's visible eye squinted. What do you know of Orochimaru's records? Ionoto and the White Snake is dead. You are out here alone, Danzo. Alone but for your route. Would you like to know how I put you here? Naruto asked. Danzo didn't respond. Naruto smirked. Who do you think leaked information to you? He said, watching Danzo's eye widen slightly. You've been trying to get into Tsunade's inner circle for years. You offered money to the greediest of them and power to those who were most hungry for it, but it didn't work. Soon it has 3 circles. You fit into the outermost one, the one full of people she hates or distrusts but has no choice but to be near. The second is people that she has around her but knows can't be trusted with the truly important things that she needs kept secret. But her innermost circle, that's where the info stayed. The one circle you have never been able to gain access to. So, then, where did the information come from? It was me. I was part of it this since the beginning. You have been part of this since the very beginning. All part of the plan. Danzo's eye widened even more. This was all to get to me. Correct. Naruto shouted in a tone of amusement. I couldn't get to you when you were surrounded by hundreds of root, when you were in your headquarters, without losing someone. But out here in the open. This is a whole other playing field. You're on my field now. So I ask that you please not use the Izanagi. Make this easy. Call off you dogs and let me kill you quickly. There was a pause. No, I can't do that. You may have outwitted me to get me out here, but even you are helpless against the power I have now. Danzo said, pulling down his cloak to reveal a face on his shoulder. Naruto laughed. The cells of Hashirama. I've read the reports, I told you that. You think that will work? I once used a seal to break the hold of an intricate genjutsu over the Jinchuriki of the Sanbi. I have since enhanced those seals in order to prevent genjutsu and such from affecting me. Not even the great Madara Uchiha could control me or the Kyuubi as long as he is sealed within me and my seal's still working. Danzo sneered. Why should I believe you even have the ability to do that? Naruto's face became hardened. Have you already forgotten? I'm an Uzumaki, and I have been living in Azushiogakur. I have had 4 years to master everything I wish on the art of sealing arrays. The world is as I wish it to be. Realization spread across Danzo's face. He could see a man who was telling nothing but the truth. His own face became hardened. Then there's nothing left but to kill you. You think it's that easy? Naruto asked, pulling out a large cylinder from within his cloak. This is called a chaos mine. He said, sealing the outer plating into the top seals and revealing the gray sealing arrays within. This entire weapon is made of so many seals that they have had to project themselves off of one another to for a solid 3-dimensional object. I can even make them detonate on impact with the ground. I won't go into details, but just looking at this thing should tell you how intricate this is. Each seal holds metal senbon and can eject them at a pace that allows them to rip apart walls. An entire mine can bring down several nearby buildings. Now I would suggest you just die. He said before throwing the chaos mine. One of the root jumped forward and grabbed it. There was a pause as nothing happened. Naruto chuckled. A dud then. Then let's get on with it then. Naruto was instantly in front of the root that had grabbed the chaos mine. He ripped his fist through the man's chest before twisting around and moving away from the man to avoid a kaiten jutsu that destroyed the body. Naruto pulled his sword from one of the seals on his arm as he ran forward and cut into 2 of the other root, though they were not dead, and one drew a sword while another prepared a jutsu. The one with the sword didn't expect Kisame to come in and rip him in half with his same hada. Naruto gave him a nod as Kisame smirked and engaged another one of the root who had a drawn sword. The one who was preparing a jutsu was grabbed and crushed by a large, orange, and ethereal arm. Itachi quickly discarded the body from the hand of his Susanoo and walked calmly towards some of the now slightly uneasy root. Hinata and Shino moved beside Naruto as he went to engage Danzo and his 2 main guards. Hinata went after the Yamanaka while Shino went after Torun. Hinata was able to quickly disable and deliver a lethal blow to the Yamanaka before turning her attention to the other root agents. Most of the root were forced away from their master, however, several were still next to Danzo. Naruto engaged Danzo in taijutsu before using his blade to block a tanto directed at him. He quickly broke away before activating a seal on the back of his hand. The root were on guard for a moment before everything exploded as the chaos mine was activated. Naruto shunshined away to escape the blast. When Naruto saw from his position that the mine had stopped, he shunshined back. He saw that the root had been turned into little more than red splatters. He looked around for Danzo before seeing that the man had used the Izanagi to escape harm. Not a dud after all. Naruto said. I guess I forgot to mention that I can activate them in a variety of ways, remotely being included. Without letting Danzo respond, Naruto quickly re-engaged him in taijutsu before drawing his blade again and trying to decapitate Danzo. He was blocked as Danzo pulled out a kunai and blocked the blade. He retreated before weaving hand signs and launching a slash of air that started cutting through some of the disrupted stone. Naruto dodged. Danzo bit his thumb before using a summoning jutsu. When the smoke cleared, there was a massive summon that Naruto recognized as the Baku. As the creature began inhaling to draw him in, Naruto used his own summon on both hands before two creatures appeared behind him. The first was a massive Gamakichi. The second was a dragon whose scales and eyes were the color of sapphires that were an intense blue that refracted the light. Her talons and spikes on her neck, back, as well as tail were bone white. She had two serrated fangs that jutted out of her upper jaw onto her bottom lip slightly, as well as white, knife-like, meat-shearing teeth. Her head was roughly triangular and she also possessed 4 cheek spines, slightly curved horns and 4 head spines between her horns. Naruto gave a signal before Gamakichi shot a stream of oil into the Baku's mouth, as well as over the creature. The dragon then let out a stream of white-hot flames that lit the Baku on fire. Within moments, the creature was covered in flames and screaming in pain. It was only a second later that it was gone. Naruto turned around and gave another signal before Gamakichi disappeared and the dragon was instantly after Danzo. The man tried to dodge but was quickly caught in the dragon's mouth as she used her claws to rip his body in half. Naruto was not surprised to see the body fade away. As his summons disappeared, he turned around in time to have Danzo grip his neck. Trying to put a curse mark on me, Danzo. Shame. I thought you were smarter than to try and put a seal on me after the things I told you I could do. Things like this, Naruto said. Thick, black lines started wrapping around Danzo's arm as his own seal was reversed. Danzo could also tell that the seal was somehow enhanced from its previous design. It was stronger now. Naruto saw a third eye close on the man's arm before the lines disappeared and Danzo retreated. So, you realized that trying to break it would have cost you more than just using the Izanagi to delete such a disadvantage from reality. Naruto said before charging in with his blade again. Danzo drew a kunai and channeled his wind nature chakra to lengthen the blade. Naruto smiled before his blade was covered in his own fire, wind, and lightning natures. His blade was quickly covered in lightning and a blaze of fire as he tore through Danzo's blade. Danzo was shocked to see the blade rip through his chest. Before the Izanagi kicked in, he was even able to smell his own flesh burning. Danzo disappeared again. When he reappeared, Naruto instantly had him pinned to a wall by the throat. I've beaten you, Danzo. An interesting side effect of the Izanagi is that it can be set to autopilot to make it less difficult to use. The way you have it set, your body only disappears and reappears when your body is maimed or destroyed. But if I start doing this, Naruto said, seals flowing from his hands before Danzo could feel his chakra being drained. He also saw one of his Sharingan close before his chakra felt replenished, then the Sharingan will try to fix the disadvantage. But it's also a weakness. Danzo quickly used another Sharingan to disappear and reappear away from Naruto before his chakra could be drained anymore. That's 6, Danzo. You're down more than half your arm and you're already starting to lose control over your implants. Let's keep going, Danzo. Naruto said, taking note that none of his friends were on the bridge any longer, though some of Danzo's route had managed to find their way behind their master again to back him. Naruto sealed his sword before flying through some hand seals. Kaiten, desolation. Naruto shouted, letting out a stream of white-hot flames. Danzo's root agents screamed for only a second before they were wiped away. Danzo's body disappeared before reappearing behind Naruto and watched the flames that washed over the bridge. He saw that they were already melting the very stone. Danzo moved in to take Naruto down while he was still using his jutsu, but was stopped when another Naruto appeared and tried to punch through Danzo's chest. He managed to avoid it before pulling out Shuriken and using his wind chakra to turn the Shuriken into much larger and sharper versions. Danzo threw both and severed one of the clone's arms. The other missed, but both flew into the flames and made them grow before the Shuriken themselves melted. The clone turned black before unraveling into hundreds of seals that quickly dispersed. Danzo was shocked to see the array clone of Azu from during the past wars, but quickly chalked it up to Naruto's claims about learning sealing jutsu from Azushio. Danzo was now able to see that the original Naruto was turning around, and bringing the flames around with him. As Naruto turned, the flames changed color and became hotter. Danzo quickly tried to move before he was engulfed in the wave of blue flames. The moment that Danzo was gone, the flames swirled and dissipated. Naruto panted slightly as he looked around and saw that the stone bridge around him was almost non-existent at this point, some of the melted stone pouring over the sides and into the water below, creating heavy clouds of steam. Naruto flew through another set of hand seals and activated a small dotonjutsu that collapsed what was left of the bridge. When he landed on the water, he turned and noticed that Danzo was nowhere to be seen. Naruto activated the Hiraishin seal he had placed on Danzo and appeared in the forest. He saw Danzo just as he deactivated the Izanagi. The man was breathing heavily. Danzo noticed Naruto and got ready to fight again. Naruto didn't give him a chance to do anything as he rushed forward, grabbed the man's wrist and shoulder, and ripped off the man's arm. Danzo's eyes widened in shock and pain. Naruto leaned forward and set the man down while kneeling next to him. Do you know why I despise you and your root, Danzo? Because the root is just a collection of your drones, and you are a man of no hope. You have ambition, thoughts, and goals, but you have no hope. It's not that you have despair, the word is simply meaningless to you. No hope, no despair. So take note in your last moments. Your death and loss was only caused because you refused to see the truth. Under normal circumstances I would respect how you stood in your beliefs until the end, but your beliefs were ones that tried to snuff out all others but your own. So now, die, Naruto said before pulling out his blade again and prepared to decapitate the man. Naruto stopped as a large curse seal appeared on Danzo's body. All I have ever done was to protect Konoha. Even I have to die and take you down with me, I will continue towards that goal to the end. Naruto smiled and touched the seal before ripping it apart, painfully. Nice try, Danzo. I'm a sealing master. Remember, only don't tell me you're innocent. Because it insults my intelligence and makes me very angry. Naruto said. Naruto twisted his hand and pushed down as his hand and his seals ripped into the man. He enjoyed Danzo's screams. A moment later, the seals formed a black seal and ripped open the man's chest and imploded to create an empty hole that showed the ground beneath the man. Naruto removed his last two Sharingan from his dismembered arm and sealed them. He then removed the bandages over Danzo's head to look at Shisui's eye before removing it and then sealed it with the other Sharingan. Finally, Naruto sealed Danzo's body, and then used the Hiraishin to get back with his team. When he appeared, he found that the rest of them had already finished off the root agents and were waiting for him. Naruto noticed that Shino had one of the root thrown over his shoulder. He then realized who it was and gave Shino a small nod that was then returned. Naruto walked over and used the Hiraishin to send Torun back to Izu with a note that he was to be kept sedated for the time being. Alright, Obito should be waiting for us in Iron by now. Let's go, Naruto said. He quickly created a clone and gave it orders to report Danzo's death to Tsunade. He then turned and led his team out of the clearing and towards the land of Iron. They had a summit to attend. Naruto just hoped that the Godime wouldn't be late. A moment later and they were standing next to a very confused Sasuke. Obito had told him a short while ago that he had to go before disappearing in his Kamui. A few minutes later and the clones around him dispelled before their real forms landed in front of him. Don't ask any questions, Sasuke. Naruto said. It's all been taken care of. Now, we have a meeting to get to. Break. Naruto had sent the rest of his team ahead while he, Hinata, and Shino walked forward through the snow of the land of Iron. Naruto knew they were being followed, but had decided to leave a small opening to see who it was. Naruto was ready to give to simply use the Hiraishin to catch up with the team when their pursuer finally made themselves known. Naruto was surprised to see that there were actually two people there. He had not noticed the second signature. The first was a small woman who looked no older than 17. She had long, dark blue hair that went down to her thighs, and with bangs that hang to just above her reddish burgundy-colored eyes. She appeared to be wearing a special sifuku with short sleeves, along with a long black scarf covering the bottom part of her face and her neck. She wore a short, blue skirt that went only a few inches past her buttocks and had two short slits which were probably to aid her in movement. She wore black color arm guards from the back of her palm until her elbows, as well as lower thigh guards. Black bandages could be seen under those guards, right below her knees and near her elbows. Her dual-wielding kodaki were tucked into two slots at her back, hooked by a belt-like strap. Her shirt was left unbuttoned at the bottom. She also had a katana strapped to her waist. The blade was black with a red hilt. The sword itself seemed to be almost as long as she was tall. The second was a massive and muscular man with arms about as large as Naruto was. He wore large, black pants and wore nothing on his upper body apart from 2 shackles on each wrist with large chains hanging from them before coming back up and wrapping around his arms. He had a thick, dark red line going from under his arm, to his shoulder, and up his neck to a large red circle that covered his obviously scared over right eye. His hair was long, black, and in thin lines down around his head. His left eye was a solid white with no pupil or iris. He had a massive, black broadsword on his back. From tip to handle, it was approximately 6 feet long, with a single-edged large blade approximately 1 foot wide. The handguard appeared to be bolted or riveted into place, and there were 2 holes near the handguard where the sword could be clipped onto his back. Naruto quickly appraised them. "You're of the Immortals," he said, remembering them from Akira's report. "That is correct," the deep, monotone-voiced man said. "You are Naruto Uzumaki, associate of the man named Roku who killed Hiden. Why are you all so obsessed with Hiden?" Naruto asked. "Did I anger your cult by killing a member?" "This is so stupid," the girl said. The man chuckled. "You seem to be under the impression that the Immortal Council was made of people like Hiden, a Jashinist. That is not the case. Some of them are, but others have different reasons. The council is made up of people who were already immortal. It was formed because we have lost passion for little other than death. Hiden was cast out of his cult because he had no restraint. We eventually cast him out for the same reasons, but we are not part of his cult," the girl said. "Yes. It's also why we do not wield scythes. They are weapons specialized in by his cult, but our council simply wields black and red blades. For now, we are simply trying to kill the man who killed one of our members. The fact that he was able to do so at all means that he is a threat that must be dealt with," the man said. "Then I'll tell you the same thing I told the last 2. Roku is dead," Naruto said. There was a pause before the giant hummed to himself in thought. "I'm inclined to believe you. Then tell me why his chakra seems to be radiating from you." Naruto sighed. He was surprised that this man could sense it, and had to guess that he was somehow the one he had not sensed following him. "Perhaps some other time. For now, I have a meeting to get to. I'm going to need you out of my way. I can't allow that to happen," the girl said, stepping forward and drawing her kodaki. "Let's end 'em already, Douglas." "All right, Shina," the man groaned, grabbing his sword as he did so. "What a pain." Naruto drew his own sword as they all got ready for the fight. However, he didn't expect the massive man to instantly be in front of him. His speed vastly contradicted his size. Naruto barely got out of the way as Douglas's sword came down. The ground where Naruto had stood exploded as his team moved out of the way. Naruto was surprised to see the woman at him with her dual blades. Naruto was just able to twist around and see her own slight surprise as his heel hit her face and sent her flying for only a moment before she was able to right herself. Naruto saw Hinata and Shino trying to handle the giant. Naruto saw Hinata try to close off the man's chakra points and slow him down. It shocked them that it hadn't worked. Shino tried to consume the man with his insects, but was forced to recall them when the man simply crushed them. "Hinata, Shino, take her. I'll try to handle him," Naruto shouted. The 2 nodded and turned their attention to the woman as she re-entered the fight. Naruto jumped in front of the massive man before preforming a Doton Jutsu. A massive stone spike shot up at the man, through his arm, and through his face and head. The man quickly used his other arm to reach over and crush the spike. His hand and part of his forearm fell now that the skin connecting them to the rest of the arm were not stretched out by the stone. The sheer weight caused the skin to snap and his hand to fall to the ground. The massive hole in his head quickly closed and healed over before he grabbed his arm and held it up to where it had fallen from. Small tendrils shot out and quickly reconnected the arm as it healed over. Naruto was forced to retreat as the man picked up his sword and went to swing it at him. "Hold still. This is such a pain. I just want to get this over with," the giant said. Naruto quickly created 2 clones that charged the man. Naruto and his bunshin attached 3 Hiraishin seals to the giant's arms and chest. Naruto activated them, sending his arms to Izu for study. The man stood there a moment before tendrils shot out and reformed his arms, though his weapon was still where his original arms had gone. You assumed that I needed my arms back in order to regrow them. It helps with the proper reconstructions, but I'm much stronger than that, he said before trying to crush Naruto again with his fist. Naruto activated the third seal and sent the man into the middle of Hai no Kuni before he could be put on the defensive again. No wonder so many of the Celestial Knights died getting that information, Naruto thought to himself. He turned to see the girl fighting Hinata and Shino with ease. Naruto rushed from behind her and grabbed her neck. Tell Oki that I want to meet and talk to him, Naruto said before sending her to the same place he had sent Douglas. Break. Tsunade was standing next to Jiraiya as he was getting out of his hospital bed, finally being discharged. She turned when she felt a tap on her shoulder. The nurse standing there had a note for her that she quickly took and opened. She brought it over to Jiraiya as they both read it. Tsunade, you should know that I have killed Danzo. That folder I gave you before held the location of the hidden root bases. I would suggest that you take over your command and destroy Root as quickly as possible. Don't forget, you still have a summit to attend as well. Better hurry. Naruto Uzumaki. The both looked up in time to see the nurse's form morph into that of Naruto. He smirked at them before disappearing through the door. Tsunade ran after him but only walked into a cloud of smoke. Break. Naruto, Hinata, and Shino walked up towards the small village where the summit was going to be held. As they entered they were quickly found by Itachi. You're late. What happened? Itachi asked. We got held up by our favorite blade-wielding immortals, Naruto said. I can fill you in on all of the details later on. We need to go see Mifune. Tell Obito to meet us near the fortress. Itachi left as the three continued towards the samurai fortress. As they neared one of the entrances, they were quickly surrounded by samurai. I guess word hasn't reached here yet. Tell Mifune that the Azukage is here, Naruto said. You're Naruto Uzumaki? One of the samurai asked. Yes. The samurai nodded and gave the order for the others to stand down. At that moment, Obito appeared with a scroll in his hand. It took time, but I was able to gather what you requested, Obito said. Naruto took the scroll and opened it. He examined the seals before nodding and closing the scroll again. Thank you. Go wait with the others. We'll be there soon after this meeting is over, Naruto said. Obito nodded before disappearing in his kamui again. Alright, let's go see Mifune, Naruto said. Break. A week passed as Naruto waited in iron. He and the other Kage were waiting for the Hokage. Naruto had been there in secret with the small team he had brought. The only ones who knew he was there were his allies, and Mifune. Naruto had been able to convince the man to allow him to stay there and attend the summit. Mifune had agreed once it was revealed that Naruto was there to represent Izu as its Kage. It had been more difficult, but he was also able to convince Mifune to allow his team to stay. That was when Tsunade finally showed up. Naruto had stayed out of sight while listening to everything that had happened. When Tsunade had received news of Danzo's death, she had been both elated and disturbed. She had opened the folder that Naruto had had in the seals on Jiraiya and found that they were locations of Danzo's root hideouts like Naruto had said. She had quickly acted to destroy them and regain control of Konoha. She hadn't wanted to, but she had to thank Naruto for finally getting rid of the old war hawk. It was quickly over before Tsunade organized everything to leave. Another development was that Jiraiya had finally recovered and was ready to go on missions again. Tsunade had had him and Kakashi accompany her to Iron for the summit. She had gotten some complaints about being late, but had been able to move on and start the meeting. The 5 Kage walked into the meeting room. You're looking a bit old, Tsunade. Maybe you should think of retiring, Onoki, whose guards were Kuretsuki and Roshi, commented. Roshi had been in trouble for letting Han leave, but when news of the summit came, Onoki had still chosen to take him as a guard. You have no right to talk, Onoki, a new voice said, considering that you're the only one in this room that has ever encountered Madara Uchiha in the flesh. Actually, you were the only one here alive at the time he was. The Raikage, Tsuchikage, and Hokage were surprised to notice a man wearing a black cloak, his face covered by the shadows from his hood, already sitting in the room. He sat in a 7th chair, the 6th being for Mifune. The other thing that caught their attention was that his 2 guards wore the same black cloak. They all sat down quickly before A, whose bodyguards were Darui and Killer B, asked what was on some of their minds. Who is our sixth member to this meeting? Or asked. Naruto stood up from his chair. I can answer that question for you. Tsunade's eyes widened. She knew who this was just from his voice. Naruto pulled back his hood and removed his black cloak to reveal his Azukiage cloak. He pulled out the traditional cage hat, which had the kanji for Azu and was white and orange, and sat it on the table in front of him. I am Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki, Shodai Azukiage, and the leader of Azushiogaku. The people in the room were silent for a moment as and Onoki thought about his words for a moment. Tsunade was trying not to panic. That was when Onoki burst out laughing. You expect us to believe that some brat like you was able to open the barrier of Azu, become the cage of a Kegulous village, and are the son of Minato Namikaze by the name you gave. You're too young to have any merit or be believed. And even if you did have the title of Kage, you're too young and immature. Naruto's face was dead serious. If you think I'm lying, ask the Kazekage, Mizukage, and Hokage. They can confirm my words. As can the Hokage, he said. The other Kage looked at him in confusion before one of his guards removed their cloak. Their looks turned into ones of absolute shock. I've had plenty of time to resurrect Azu since I was betrayed by Konoha. As for making you believe I'm the son of Minato Namikaze, even the current Hokage refuses to believe such a fact. So, let's start this meeting of Kage by revealing the truth from the horse's mouth. He gestured to the Sandaime Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, standing next to him. He was in his battle armor. It's amazing what one can do when they possess the original notes of the second Hokage. A dead man can walk the earth once again. Now then, why don't you finally settle their minds, Hiruzen? Naruto said. Hiruzen sighed. Then will you release me from this cursed jutsu? Of course. Now you will fix the mistake you made. Hiruzen sighed again. Tsunade, Jiraiya, and everyone else. Naruto Uzumaki is the son of the Yondaime, Minato Namikaze. I kept that secret because I didn't want Minato's enemies coming after him. And I kept it from you too, he said, pointing at his two students, because you were in positions where I was unsure if you could keep the secret. Tsunade, you were almost always drunk and grieving. I had no way of knowing if you could be trusted with such sensitive. Jiraiya, women don't exactly have a hard time getting to you. The two Sannin were stunned for a moment before Jiraiya shouted. How do we know you aren't making him say these things? You've gone over the notes, Jiraiya. Hiruzen said. He can't control my speech unless keeping me silent. And he can't control me directly without it being obvious. That is correct. Now, you can go. Naruto said before a coffin came out of the ground, took him, and disappeared. Naruto had a thoughtful look on his face before speaking again. Now I'm down a guard. I think he should be replaced. Naruto quickly formed hand seals before clapping his hands together. Onoki, Tsunade, the guards, and Mifune were instantly uneasy. Mifune had allowed Naruto to be a part of the meeting, but was still unsure about him. Tsunade was terrified at seeing the technique that Orochimaru had used, as a coffin rose from the ground next to Naruto. The coffin opened before Minato Namikaze stepped out and stood there. Only a split second passed before he opened his eyes and looked around. What's going on? Where am I? Minato asked. You died, remember? Minato turned around and looked at Naruto. He got out before realization dawned on him. Naruto. Yes, I used the Edo Tensei to bring you and Hiruzen back, though the later is not here at the moment. That's not possible. The sealing jutsu I used. I took the Uzumaki Mask Temple when I left Konoha. Many don't know it, but in that temple rests the mask of the Shinigami. This mask can be used to free souls from his belly. It's how I was able to bring you and Hiruzen back. Now, let's get back to the meeting. I'll explain everything to you later. Let's get to work on the true purpose of this meeting. We are at a Kage summit, so please remain silent for now. Wait, just because you are the Yondaime's son does not mean that you truly have access to Zu. Said. Naruto sighed before pulling out a kunai. He didn't hesitate before stabbing the blade into his neck and twisting. The blade dug into his flesh before his entire body turned into a black mass. The mass began to unravel before it became a cloud of floating ceiling arrays. The arrays dissipated quickly. The array bunchen of the Uzumaki. So complicated and difficult to form, not even all of the Uzumaki could do it. It is more durable than any clone ever created due to the fact that it combines the massive chakra usage of Cage Bunshin with the far greater durability of a blood clone and wraps it in a layer of seals that are far more complicated than any of you could ever hope to attempt. The only records for how to preform the jutsu are in a zoo. Is that proof enough for you? The real Naruto asked, stepping from a shadowed corner. He walked back over to his chair and sat down again. Now, as for the accusation of immaturity, I'm not the one who, Naruto said before turning to Gaara. Gaara, how did you pose the question again? I was wondering, Gaara said, turning to Onoki, at which point did you all forsake yourselves? That's it. Now, as I was saying, I'm not the one you compromised and gave into the petty fear. I'm not the one who destroyed Azu and the Uzumaki clan because I was so foolish as to think that it was smart. You destroyed Azu because you were afraid, nothing more. I find it amazing how much fear such a small country can inspire. Enough, apparently, to bring down the wrath of the elemental nations. On the other hand, I have valid reasons for my actions. I'm the type of person that organizes meetings and downfalls to get the snakes and deceitful war hawks out in the open so that I can behead them. I'm the type of person that will set up this summit to offer my hand to the Raikage, Tsuchikage, and Hokage to join me. And, I'm the type of person that comes bearing gifts, even if they are for the people who betrayed me. Naruto said. He pulled out 2 scrolls and unfurled them on the table. Orochimaru's and Danzo's bodies appeared, though Danzo's was missing its arm and his head was separated from the rest of the body. I give you all 2 people who have been thorns in the sides of everyone in this room. You killed Orochimaru. Jiraiya asked. I'm sorry for your loss. Is that what you want? Naruto asked. I present you with the body of Orochimaru, the great white snake. What more do you want? Look, I'm only here for 2 reasons. The first is a phrase that all but the Mizukage, Kazekage, and anyone who joins me should fear. I'm recreating the Orb Union. A was up instantly, pounding his fist through the table. The whole reason anyone was afraid enough to destroy Azu and was able to convince the Hokage to go along with it was because of the attempted formation of that union. You will be silent. Do not think that threats will work on me now. Naruto said. Kase no Kuni and Mizu no Kuni are already part of Orb. And Azu itself is already stronger than anyone could imagine. Everyone was silent. Allow me to shed some light on the subject. Naruto said, pulling out a massive scroll. He stood up, walked into the area in the middle of the room, and unfurled the scroll. The projection of the elemental nation appeared with the colored borders. Last time, you knew about the Orb Union forming. I gave no one such a luxury this time apart from those who are already its members. I give you the current state of Orb. The red outlines are member nations and the blue outlines are allied nations. Naruto enjoyed the shocked appearances. That's impossible. Jiraiya stuttered. No, it is not. Naruto said. The whirling tides have grown. They have come seeking the blood of enemies. So let me ask you all this. Which of you are my enemies? You bastard. You're just threatening us. You're trying to intimidate us so that we will follow you. Kakashi said. Naruto turned to Kakashi. You should learn when to say nothing, Kakashi Hatake. Since you are now part of this conversation, let me show you that other reason I was talking about, the other reason I'm here. It is another impossibility, he said. I have a gift for you too, Kakashi. You can remove your hood now. The second guard behind Naruto removed his hood. It took Kakashi a moment before his revealed eye widened. Hello Kakashi. It has been a while. Like a gaze from a crowd of strangers, suddenly one is aware of staring into the face of an old friend. Obito said, staring into Kakashi's eyes as they flash with sadness, shock, anger, shock, elation, and shock. Well then, short version. Not dead. I realize that it's somewhat cruel, springing it on you like that. I could have given you a heart attack, and probably still will. In my defense, your face looks very funny. There was a pause. Okay, it's not a great defense. Jiraiya finally realized who it was as well. Oh no, you're. Oh yes, Obito said. You died. You were crushed. Jiraiya said. No, you're dead. No, I'm quite sure I'm not. I checked. Okay, Kakashi, I'm suddenly realizing I might owe you some sort of an apology. Kakashi finally spoke. All these years, he paused, trying to compose himself. All these years, I thought you were dead. And you let me believe that. How could you do that? How could you do that to me and Rin? Obito sighed. As many things need explaining, I think the first important thing I should say, is that I want my eye back, he said. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.